Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of Impact Makers. We didn't do much prep for this one. We're gonna get some off-the-cuff Dustin, which is the best kind of Dustin if you know him. So, Dustin, you ready for me to tee you up and just see where you go?
Let's go.
All right. So I just finished reading a book called The Bezos Letters. So that's the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. But it was written by Steve Anderson, kind of digesting the 14 principles that he gleaned from the different letters to shareholders. And so in the last chapter, I was struck by a comment, and I thought of you, Dustin. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to tee you up with a question. So it's in a category called Embracing External Trends. And from the book, it says, the biggest impediment to realizing how new trends will impact an organization is the company's attitude towards risk-taking, particularly if the trend is new. Whenever a company becomes entrenched in doing it the way they've always been done, sound familiar, Dustin?
Maybe a little.
Leadership and the rank and file will resist taking risks, and new trends often look too risky. So obviously I thought of you when I read that part, and I thought about the work we do. And so what do you think about that? Thinking about status quo and risk. Frame that up for our CPA firm audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we have generally talked about for multiple years now is, something I've been saying for at least 5 years now has been that status quo is falling behind. And more recently, in the last year, I'm adding significantly behind because of the growth in technology, the growth in external clients where they're heading for a CPA firm. If you're content with status quo, you're falling significantly behind. And so that resonates with me there. And then I think another angle I will add to that quote that you just pulled out of that book is oftentimes the risk of staying status quo is a higher risk than the risk of making a move to something better. And the longer you maintain that status quo, that risk grows. So that's another angle that, a thought that just popped into my head as you read through that quote.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question is which is more risky? Trying something new or continuing to do what you've always done. And I think it's amazing to read that, the founder of Amazon, and you kind of could feel this, is, he's driven after, a clear vision of doing something big, right? And, he's trained his entire company, taught his entire company, built a culture around it, that taking risks is okay, that actually not taking a risk is more risky. Mm-hmm. So I just find it somewhat ironic that, CPA firms that don't want to challenge the status quo, I wonder if they realize that that's the more risky decision.
I agree. They're actually taking on more risk is what we're getting to here, just kind of off the cuff. And obviously every situation is a little bit unique and different, but just off the cuff, talking big picture generalization, I agree with that. Isn't it really getting to, isn't the conversation we CPA firm leaders should be having is how do we incentivize greater risk taking? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I agree with that 100%, but it's also coaching them to realize that it's a disguised greater risk. Try something new and make sure you learn from it, because it's too risky to always continue to do what we've always done. Is basically what I'm saying. So it's I don't know necessarily how to properly articulate it, but I agree with what you said there.
And we have to build a culture that supports not getting everything 100% perfect and right the first time. Because isn't that part of what we've identified over the years is a contributing factor to holding back on innovation and new ideas is I don't want to get punished if this doesn't work as planned. And so you know, as a profession, we need to start understanding that innovation is messy. We're going to win some, we're going to lose some. It's okay. We're going to learn and get better.
Yeah.
I think that's another offshoot of this conversation, is that you have to start building that culture that it accepts that there's going to be some failures along the way, and you know, the best of the best organizations understand that and have built that into their culture, and that's why they're so innovative.
Yeah, and so we want to invite you to, you know, continue this conversation. Add to the comments. What do you think about risk? You know, we just laid out that, you know, we think CPA firm leaders and CPAs individually should get more comfortable, should become more comfortable taking on some risks, because the reality is not taking on those risks is the more risky decision. So again, you know, thanks for your time. You know, we look forward to the next time, but, you know, truly let us know what you think in the comments.